Guten Morgen, lads and lassies, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today we're doing a little bit of a Q&A video, but before we begin, I have a massive favour to ask of you. Some of you who've been around here for longer will know about this contest, others might not, but long story short, Wakeboard magazine, every year they do a readers poll, which is the fans voting for their favourite wakeboarders, and this year I've been nominated in 2 categories. I'll put it up on the screen here. But basically, I've been nominated for Boat Rider of the Year and Content Creator of the Year. Obviously, I'd like to win both of them if possible. No, but honestly, I'd just like to do as well as possible. So if you get a spare 30 seconds, it would mean the world to me if you could just take a few minutes to vote and maybe even ask your mum to vote too. No, anyway, we're going to crack on to the Q&A, and thank you if you did vote for that, by the way. And basically, I put this out yesterday because I was like, I haven't done a video in a week and I wouldn't mind doing a little Q&A because I've been getting a few questions in, and so I put it on my YouTube feed and I said, let me know any questions for a Q&A, and in no particular order, we're just going to skim through them. I haven't even really read them, but yeah, the first one is from Luke Natowski. I'd feel bad, but I also have a bad name to pronunciate. Anyway, do you get so good at switch riding that you don't even notice the difference, or is there still tricks you can't throw switch? So basically, for those of you who don't know, switch is riding the opposite foot forward. But yeah, I would say there's definitely tricks I can't throw switch. For some reason, like a switch tantrum is like a really weird feeling, or a switch whirly bird is really weird. When it comes to back roll tricks, they're not so bad. What I would say is most pros have got to a level where nearly every trick, I'd say they can do 80% of their tricks both ways. And that stems from learning it early on. And one of the most popular questions I get day to day is, what do I do to improve switch riding? And the reality is, it's probably the one thing where practice will make perfect. A lot of it, you have to kind of have a little bit of technique and whatever, but switch riding is literally just putting in the time riding switch. And most people probably don't even spend 5% of their set riding switch, whereas to really improve it, you want to be spending 30 to 50% of your riding time switch. And you'd be amazed how quick you can get a lot better at it. So yeah, that would be my biggest advice. Practice is best for switch, and definitely as you get to a higher level, the vast majority of the tricks you can do both, but definitely some tricks are easier than normal. Like I've never done a switch whirly bird, and I don't ever intend on trying it because I feel maybe I have tried it, I'm not sure. I've definitely never landed one anyway. So this next one is from PK and really random. Do you stay passionate about wakeboarding after turning a hobby into a profession? It's a very good question. So I'll answer that first. There's 3 questions here. It's a difficult one, being honest, and it was one of the ones that I was warned. At the time, I used to train in America when I was still kind of just doing it for a little bit of fun in Stu Mackey. He's an English coach, and he was very kind of eye-opening to when you turn it full-time professional, how it changes the dynamic of it, and it changes it for the better and for the worse. So yeah, of course the passion's still there because you just quit otherwise, because you can make a lot more money putting all your focus into something else. So definitely the passion is still there, but it definitely shifts because all of a sudden it's gone from just riding for complete fun to then having a little bit of pressure, whether it's contest results, filming videos, getting magazine shots, whatever it is that you kind of specialize in. So it definitely adds pressure, but it doesn't take away from the passion. I think if it did, I think a lot of people, I would say anyone involved in the wakeboard industry, whether it's coaching, wakes, like parks or wherever it is passion driven. It's very important with anything really. In saying that, would I turn another passion into a career? Probably would, actually, yeah. Anyway, how do you handle the cliques and snobbery from the top levels of the sport? So it's a very good question again. You're asking some solid questions. So it's actually pretty good. I mean, I would say the vast majority of wakeboarding is very open, friendly, inviting, and pretty incredible. I will definitely say that. Obviously there is, but just like in anything, there's going to be small little kind of, let's say, I don't know if the word snobbery, but just kind of resentment or whatever it might be. And you kind of just have to take it on the shoulder. Not everyone can like you. There's that saying, I'd rather be one person's shot of tequila than everyone's cup of tea. And yeah, that's the thing. So I mean, and the reality is, like, the pros outweigh the cons, as in, like, let's say, for example, one pro wakeboarder is like, for whatever reason, doesn't like me, but then like Sean Murray's like sending me messages, been like, let's go ride. Obviously, Sean Murray is going to stoke you out more than that one kind of negative person is going to bum you out. So just focus on the positives. Will wake pants finally spell the end of the kook scene? Trying really hard to look cool by looking uncool in wakeboarding. I don't know. I don't really get it. I just feel like, to be honest, it would be really, really hard to wakeboard with trousers on. I've seen people do it with like full dungarees and stuff. And I mean, I'm completely into adding your own flair and your own style, but it just looks like heavy and a bit difficult to wakeboard with. Next question. Thinking of getting a second-hand board so I can ride doubles with my brother. I'm a boat rider. I have a 2019 O'Brien exclusive right now, and I really like it, sorry. Do you have any options on O'Brien vs Hyperlight vs Ronix vs Ligaforce? Also psyched for next season. Just got a wakeboarding boat. I'm terrible at reading if you haven't noticed. Before we read, anyway. So boards. So being honest, my insight to comparing across the brands is not that great because I haven't a vast experience in riding Ligaforce or Ronix or Hyperlight boards. What I would say is if you're buying a second board and you're used to the exclusive is a very aggressive board. So whatever brand it is, I would say go for something similar if you do like your board. Or even just get the exact same thing. There's no harm in that. However, a bit of variation is the spice of life, as they say. So I would say definitely if you like it, get something similar. So get an aggressive 3-stage that's really, really like snappy and kind of, I would say like a little bit more technical to use. But if that's what you like, then definitely stick to something very similar. But yeah, keep enjoying. Well, next season, hopefully it's a good one with the boat. And riding doubles is so fun. Just be very, very careful. I don't know if you saw a few weeks ago, I took it to the elbow and I'm still like not 100% recovered. Next one, how many hours do you spend trampoline learning tricks? How much time would you recommend to spend on a trampoline for a casual wakeboarder? So, growing up, no joke, 6-7 hours on a weekend and probably 2 hours in the rain, in the cold, outside during the week after school. So like a lot of time, and it's without a doubt the single most best way, I don't think that's proper English, but it's the best way to practice on the off season or kind of cross training. Now it's very little, to be completely honest. I almost plateaued what you could do on a garden trampoline, and then in Ireland there's not great facilities for, let's say, gymnastics and stuff. So yeah, I probably don't spend a huge amount of time now, which I really should. Recreationally, I'd say like an hour is amazing. If you can do an hour a week, you're laughing, in my opinion. But yeah, that's my recommendation for the trampoline. What I would say is trampoline is the best thing ever, and I have never tried a trick on the boat or on the cable that I can't do already on a trampoline with my eyes closed. Right, next question. Another question about passion and wakeboarding, or is my passion switching to other things in terms of cars? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? So obviously it's no secret, I absolutely love cars, and I do also on the side car reviews for basically like Ireland's best or biggest selling car website, if that makes any sense. I do it for like the Irish Auto Trader effectively, and I love doing it. It was something that I actually pursued, so like I went to them with the idea. It was something that I was really passionate about but couldn't get my hands on cars, and it's worked out really well. I absolutely adore doing it. It's so different to wakeboarding. It's a much more polished kind of take on things, and it's just because in Ireland, like when I would come home, it's difficult to wakeboard in the winter. This is all pre-coronavirus, and so I just spent my time I built this idea and then I started doing it, and it's so fun. My passion definitely hasn't shifted. My passion for cars was always there from the age of 16. You can't even drive in Ireland when you're 16, but I bought a car, started modifying it, and I've always been buying and selling cars left, right and centre, and I haven't always put them on social media, but and to be honest, most of them are absolutely crap, cheap cars, but I've always been buying and selling. And so it's just kind of a passion that is now more public, I suppose. But no, I definitely don't see my passion shifting. It's just maybe you're seeing that passion more. Which kind of goes back to that first question or second question where I was saying, would I add another passion into my career? And probably I've already done it. And where do I see myself in 5 years? I don't really know. It's scary. I'd like to think still wakeboarding. I'm still only young. Well, definitely still wakeboarding. I don't think I'll ever quit, but I'd like to think still wakeboarding professionally. At that point, I'll nearly be in masters men's. So maybe it'll be easier to get on that podium internationally. But yeah, I definitely think more down the YouTube, more down what I really, really have learnt this year is that I really want to focus on kind of progressing others, the coaching side, the tutorial side of things. So I'd say that direction a lot more, potentially online. There's a few plans in the works there. I don't want to reveal too much, but yeah, that's kind of what I would say. And then also still doing the car stuff, still doing anything really. I mean, you have a lot of time in the day, so you might as well do as much as you can. Do you ever adjust the degree angle of your bindings? What degree angle do you ride right now? So, never. I have never swapped them. I basically ride fully ducked on both of them. It's completely a preference thing. I often get asked. What I would say is don't ever have your feet pointing at each other, but anything slightly more than like angled away, you're laughing. And I always make them kind of what's the word I'm looking for, like synchronized, or basically like they're mirror opposites, so don't have one more ducked than the other. And yeah, I ride fully ducked out, and I never ever change it, because touch wood, it's pretty comfortable for me, and it hasn't caused injuries. Because I can only imagine if you twist your knee like a few degrees that way, it's gonna affect your whole like muscles and everything. Don't know very much. I'm not a physio. Is wakeboarding and YouTubing your full-time job? Yes, I do a few other things too, but it has been for years, since it's actually been for about 6 or 7 years. I started earning a little bit of money in it probably 10 years ago, but then about 6 years ago I went full time. And it has been since. I do a few other things with my spare time that also bring in revenue, but they're not like kind of my main focus. It's kind of, I mean, I'm in a fortunate position where I kind of focus on just doing things I like, and then they happen to bring in enough money to live. I'm not rich by any means. I wish I was, but I'm not. I live in a normal apartment. I have roommates, so yeah. But yeah, it is my full-time job, and I really like doing it most of the time. Sometimes you are like, I'll openly admit that sometimes you'll force videos a little bit. You'll be like, oh, I need to go to the cable, and you'll just like pick something random to do. Whereas other times there's like a video you have in your mind, or like at the moment I have a few things, and I think it's because I've been more restricted here in Ireland, but I have a few things that I really, really want to do. So yeah, sometimes it's amazing, and actually, to be fair, most of the time it's pretty good. What is the best board you've ever ridden? I genuinely, hand to heart, it's the O'Brien Valhalla. We were talking about this the other day with the O'Brien guys about how if it's not broken, don't fix it. And a few years ago they did make it a little bit lighter, so it's a little bit more user friendly, but genuinely, obviously, like the exclusive, for example, it's a better board. There's more kind of technology in it, there's more pop off it, but for me, I just really like the way the Valhalla rides. I think it's very predictable, I think it's very smooth, and so yeah, for me, that's the best board I've ever ridden. And I think a lot of the best of is always opinion based. So yeah, that's my opinion. What kind of boat did you learn to ride on? What kind of wake did you have when you first started trying tricks? So, first boat I ever rode on, it was old. I don't even really remember. I mean, I was 5, so I actually don't remember. I feel like it was some old outboard. And then, yeah, I always learned the vast majority of my tricks on very, very small wakes. If you watch back on the history of like 6 years ago when I was doing the YouTube videos, the wakes were always small. It was only in the last kind of 3 years since I've been with Centurion that I've kind of got the proper opportunity to ride big wakes and then traveling to places like Sidewake. But yeah, small wakes, honestly, I think it was Kobe Mikasic said to me once, big wakes exaggerate problems, and it's so true. So if you're learning and you're like kind of popping early, then you're going to pop even earlier on a big wake. So a big wake is amazing for someone like me, or for most people, to be fair. It is great and it's so fun, and the wake makes a huge difference, but it's not an excuse, and that's the most important thing. Because I often find people will be like, oh, I can't do it. Like people often blame their dad. Poor dads get the brunt of it. Like, my dad won't buy a big boat, so we've got nothing. But the reality is, like, obviously a big boat is going to be unbelievable, but it's not essential and it's not an excuse. Obviously, if you can get one though, definitely do. Just wanted to know if you'll be coming to South Africa. Believe it or not, I spent a good bit of time in South Africa wakeboarding, in Umtumvuna River Lodge, in just outside Durban. So spent a good bit of time there. I would love to go back. Obviously at the moment I can't travel at all, but when travel opens back up. I also really want to go to Cape Town. I've never been, would love to try it out. But yeah, how often do you get stuff sent from sponsors? So it depends, obviously. Like, it's kind of a tough one. A lot of, actually in Ireland, a lot of like random companies, like this type of stuff, and like random things get sent to me, and I never post about it because I feel like they're kind of taking advantage in some way. Like sending gifts and then expecting something in return is kind of, I think, a little bit, I don't know what the word is. But then it's just unfair to, for example, like O'Brien or Roswell or Centurion. They pay you like every month to represent them as a brand. They send you stuff, and it's usually really, really good, related to what I do. So obviously, like, they're all in industry stuff that it's easy to post about. But then when you get like just like chocolate bars or like crisps, you're like, that's just completely off brand. And I used to always be very open to them, but now I'm just like, yeah, no, I couldn't be bothered. And I feel so bad when they send my address. So now I just tell them straight up, listen, I'm probably not going to post that. So if you want to send it to someone else. But it is great to get things in saying that. In terms of boards, that's a big one actually. How many boards do you ride a year? On the boat, genuinely one a year. The odd time now, I would maybe break one, but very, very seldom. And on the cable, it might be two, just because they're taking a bit more of a battering, hitting rails and hitting things all day. But yeah, so I would say 2 cable boards, 1 boat board. I'd be pretty confident, but like ideally, I think, yeah, well, a good example is right now there are 3 very special boards. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, 3 very special cable boards being sent to my home here. So yeah, that could be quite cool. But anyway, more on that another day. Where is your favourite cable park in the world? It was actually Phuket Wake Park. No, not Phuket Wake, Anthem Wake Park in Phuket. I just loved the vibe there. I thought the obstacles were like the perfect balance of good but a little bit sketchy. And I absolutely love that park. But unfortunately it closed down about, I'm going to say 18 months ago. So now maybe Hypnotics. I think it's nice. It's really like just, it's so nice because you stay on site, you're right next to the cable. It's just like really, really good. I've only been once, but I would love to go back, and I plan to go back basically now. October was my plan to go to Turkey, but I can't. When the cable park opens back up, or sorry, when the world opens back up, do you think you'll do a cable park tour in the US? 100%. I was booked in to do one. It was also in October. I had a pretty busy October planned. The number of flights cancelled and trips cancelled this year sucks. But I have rescheduled that, I believe, for April next year on the Ultimate Wakeboard road trip. So I will be doing a little trip of Florida and the cable parks then. Do you prefer boat or cable, and why? I think I've explained this in a few little Q&As, but for me, boat is like my baby, and it's what I'm good at, and so I prefer it in that sense because I prefer riding the boat because I'm better, and naturally you're going to like things that you're better at, and I also just feel a lot more in control, and I find it a lot more playful than the cable. But in saying that, sometimes I'll put pressure on myself, and like particularly now, I haven't ridden that many big wakes this year, and so when I go back to riding, I have no doubt like I'm going to be falling on 9s, falling on stuff, and I'm going to probably get frustrated. Whereas on the cable, I never take it seriously. I don't compete on the cable, or I rarely compete on the cable. So for me, it's maybe got a little bit more of an enjoyment level, but I kind of prefer the boat, so they kind of average out, if that makes any sense. What else do we have? What's a cheap old wake boat to buy for 12 to 15k? It's a great question. So I would say any kind of, it depends where you live, obviously. Boat prices here in Ireland versus Australia are drastically different. But I'm just going to give it the European market / potentially the US market. So obviously you could spend 10 times more than that. So like that's the thing. And if you have that, do. But if you don't, I'm going to say, which I don't either, any of the main brands, so you're talking like Centurion, Mastercraft, Nautique, Malibu, I think that's nearly all of them. Any of those that are like 10 years old are usually the best. 10, 15 years old. And actually some of their ski boats do the job perfectly. So get an old ski boat, a few fat sacks, and you'd be amazed. Like the wake will be it'll more than suffice for 90% of the people. And you can learn quite a lot on it. So yeah, something like that. I would say stick to the main brands if possible. But otherwise you can always go to like something like a Bayline or a Larson. I just have less experience on them though. Oh, what else? How big is the difference when you have a tower? Any riding tips for beginners trying to get some good air? Tips for beginners, number one is all about the edge and the technique. So there's a video called, I'll put the link up here, the progressive edge, how's it done or something like that. And that video should help you massively because that's the biggest tip. Second, about the tower. So it does make a difference because you go from being pulled down like on a tow hitch to being pulled across or slightly up. So it makes a big difference. Towers can be expensive, and if you're on a real big budget, I would actually say like a pylon is the trick. There's a company called Insanity Pylons. I believe they still are in business. I have one and it's really good. They're not very expensive and I would definitely suggest one of them. It will make a big difference. What are your travel plans this winter? If you can't travel this winter because of Corona, what are your plans to ride? Can you private wake sessions? So, my travel plans, I don't know. I mean, at the moment, Ireland's in a bad way. At the moment of filming this, which is the morning of it going live, Ireland is not good. Our cases are very high. The government we're in like a 50-60% lockdown right now, if not more, and we're being threatened right now. Well, there'll be a press release probably the time this goes live that we're most likely going into full lockdown. So that's not good. However, I did read the other day that Pfizer have nearly got a vaccine which could be out before Christmas. But I'm no politician, I'm no medic, so I have no idea. I hope to travel. I obviously won't be able to go to Australia, which I normally do, because I believe their borders are closed until March at minimum. So I may go to Asia if it's possible. Maybe to Sidewake in Portugal. That's probably the most feasible place I'll go, because it's in Europe. It's pretty remote, so I don't really have to worry about like dealing with too many people. But yeah, at the moment I still can't go, so hopefully I can go in a couple of months or maybe in a couple of weeks, but I don't know. The second it happens, by the way, that I can, I'm gone instantly, dropping everything, and I'm gone. Normally I do like, I don't even know how many flights a year, and this year I haven't travelled since March, so yeah, pretty hectic. Anyway, we'll find one or two more. I've actually got to a lot of them. What is the best way to progress quickly in cable wakeboarding? I mean, practice is the quickest way for sure. Like if you're out there 6 days a week, or that's probably too much, but 5 days a week, you're going to progress way more than someone who's out there once a week. But also, one of the biggest things for progress that is completely overlooked, and I actually mentioned this in a video recently, is the basics. Like doing those basics is so valuable, and people overlook them. My friends, I've like fully tried to talk my friends into just doing a little bit more basics, and the problem is we all want to impress people and we all want to be like sending it as much as possible, and so we end up being like, no, I want to try a flip. And on the cable it's not that hard to kind of try a flip, but it's very hard to learn it properly and to avoid injuring it. So my advice would be just spend too much time on the basics. Like before you even try an invert on the cable, whether it's off the water or on a kicker, you want to be able to hit like most of the rails in there. You want to be able to do like a lap toe side switch. You want to be able to do ollie 180s. You want to be able to do probably 360s along like a box, maybe even a 360 off a kicker, like really basics. And you really want to be comfortable on the board in all ways, directions, everything. And then you're probably ready. Yeah, that is definitely the most important thing. With all things, wakeboarding or anything, it's just basics are so important. Have those fundamentals and build from there. But yeah, that is effectively the Q&A. It's quite a long one, I reckon. I've no idea, but I hope you've enjoyed it. A bit of an insight. Things here, like I said, in Ireland are not fantastic at the moment, but hopefully we can travel soon. I am still able to wakeboard a little bit at the moment. Right now I can't leave Dublin though, because of the restrictions, so I'm kind of stuck in Dublin, which isn't a terrible thing because I do have Wake Dock and I'm going in there I think tomorrow or the next day to ride, so that's good. And yeah, so I guess we'll do a few videos from Wake Dock. Video ideas are always welcomed. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I know this year has been a bit less travel and probably a little bit less exciting on the YouTube, but I mean, we have no choice. And at least I can wakeboard in Ireland. I think the winter is going to be more challenging than the summer has been. But yeah, thanks a million for watching. We'll see you in the next video.